In this video, we're going to be exploring the rest stops along the Massachusetts Turnpike. Now you may be asking yourself, why are we going to rest stops? That seems like a strange topic to cover. As someone who loves road trips, rest stops are an essential part of the journey, and the ones on this particular stretch of highway are filled with interesting features. Specifically, vintage McDonald's stuff, defunct restaurants, and even some eerie liminal vibes. And like many things I cover on my channel, these could soon be going away, but I'll get more into that later. We visited 7 locations along the Turnpike over 2 days. Ludlow eastbound, Charlton eastbound, Natick eastbound, Framingham westbound, Westborough westbound, Charlton westbound, and Ludlow westbound. Our first stop is Ludlow eastbound, and look at this building. It's an old-style Golden Arches McDonald's. I'm not sure when exactly it was built, but it looks like a modern version of the old-style building. And up on top here, we can see Speedy, who is the original McDonald's mascot before Ronald. Very cool how the Golden Arches go all the way through the building. Yeah, and Speedy was McDonald's first mascot. I guess he was meant to sort of embody the theme of fast food, quick service, which was a new concept back then. Now let's head inside and see what it's like inside this service plaza. Look at this, the Golden Arches are even inside the building. Now you won't see anything like this at most modern McDonald's, but you can see one here at this rest stop on the Turnpike. Let's just take a walk through this dining room and check out the vibe they have going on in here. And we have another image of Speedy etched into the glass here. Very cool to see them pay tribute to their past like this. And so this dining room, it looks very new and modern, just with sort of like a retro style to it. So I know this isn't an authentic old school McDonald's, but it still has more character and charm than the current day corporate gray box McDonald's that are just everywhere. I like these colorful seats that they have here. Very nice touch. And even the lighting fixtures are cool. They look like something from like a 1950s diner. And I like that they still have the old-style soda fountains here instead of the Coke remix machines. And look at these prints they have here of an old-school McDonald's with some classic cars outside of it. You can see that that's the sort of vibe they're going for with this entire restaurant. So let's just take a stroll through here and get a good look at this dining room. I know McDonald's is sort of synonymous with bland corporatism nowadays, but I can still appreciate places like this that still have some throwback charm to it. I don't really eat at McDonald's anymore, but I do feel a strong sense of nostalgia for the McDonald's I grew up with, so I can really appreciate when I find places like this one here. There's just something really fun about it. So my jaw dropped when I saw this here in the back corner. It's a picture of Mac Tonight. Mac Tonight is sort of McDonald's forgotten mascot. He was on commercials in the late 80s and early 90s, and I absolutely loved him as a kid. And you won't see him anywhere in modern McDonald's nowadays. And we have another picture here of a classic style McDonald's, much like the one we're standing in. And so this empty space is a former pizzeria, and we're going to see a lot of empty spaces in these rest stops, and I'll get more into that later on. But look at this one with its cool tile. I don't think I've had pizza in Massachusetts. I'm kind of biased being from New Jersey, but maybe next time I'll give it a shot. And look up above us, we can even spot Speedy through the skylight here. Over here we have a souvenir penny machine, and what can you get? You can get Boston, New England, Boston Red Sox. I used to love these things when I was a kid. And over here we have some skill games. Looks like this one you can win some AirPods and some headphones and stuff. I've never tried playing this one. I feel like it would just be rigged. And we have this one, which is Monkey Business. Now, I remember these when I was a kid. They used to have like a chicken in them, and it would turn around and cluck and give you a toy egg. What an awesome place. Very cool to see a vintage McDonald's recreated like this. Continuing on with our rest stop journey, we are at the Charlton eastbound service plaza. Now look at this sign here, and how many of these places do you think are actually going to be open inside this place? We have the McDonald's, which is pretty basic looking, just your average modern McDonald's. So here we have a place called Fresh City, and they served salads and wraps. And I came across several of these on my trip, and they were all closed. I believe these all closed up in early 2025 due to their leases expiring. And I really like the appearance of this place. It has that Global Village coffee house aesthetic. It almost kind of reminds me of like the old Panera from the late 90s, early 2000s. Even this little countertop here is kind of cool looking. I wasn't able to find out too much information about Fresh City. I'm not sure if they had much of a presence outside of these rest stops, but if you happen to know more about it, please let me know. And over here we have Papa Gino's Pizza and D'Angelo's Grilled Sandwiches, which are two popular chains throughout New England. And it breaks my heart to see that Auntie Anne's is closed. You know I love going to the mall and getting a pretzel, and if I could get one at a rest stop, I definitely would, but I don't think I'm going to be getting one from this one. So, as we're going to see in this video, some of these rest stops had like a theme to them. This one, I guess, was car themed. We have these little etched glass pictures of cars here. And so now this is really interesting. This is actually a separate, standalone McCafe stand. And it's no longer open, as you can see, but this was a place just specifically to sell McDonald's coffee, and they had baked goods like donuts and croissants in the back. I guess this was a concept that McDonald's tried for a while that didn't really take off. And this must have been an old ice cream stand. Years ago, I remember seeing the McCafe open in operation, and it was basically just like McDonald's trying to recreate a Starbucks with their own branding to it. And we'll take a look at the vibe here in this dining room. Kind of has an interesting light fixture there. And it definitely has a more modern style to it. Definitely looks like something that came out in the past few decades. These are really interesting looking chairs. I gotta say, they don't look like they would be too comfortable. We have another claw machine right here. And they still have an old payphone, and it looks like people have just covered it up with stickers. It's very rare to even see a payphone anymore, but I've noticed ones like this that kind of get covered up in stickers and street art. Very cool to see that. And it's kind of cool that they're letting people do that instead of getting rid of it altogether.
I know what I do.
Crank it.
There we go. I love you.
Oh, I love you. Here's some sort of skill game. I have no idea how you even play these. It's probably impossibly difficult anyway, but let's watch it spin. And this is actually really cool and useful. It's a vending machine filled with first aid and toiletries and all kinds of stuff you might need if you're out traveling and forgot. I would love to see machines like this in more places. And this is one of those boxing machines, but it looks like you can win prizes. Not sure how that works exactly. Next up is the Natick eastbound service plaza, and this was the final one we visited on this night. These McDonald's locations are actually family owned. These were owned by a man named Don Wright, and he passed away in 2013, but I believe his wife Paula and his son Don Jr. still own and operate McDonald's locations all throughout Massachusetts. Look at that old play place. So even though we associate McDonald's with corporatism, you can see that this was a family-owned business and they put a lot of love into their McDonald's locations. And so this one looked like it may have had some sort of sports theme to it, but there really wasn't much there. Just an old baseball bat and croquet mallet nailed to the wall here. And check out this cool rotating McCafe sign. I don't think I've ever seen one like that anywhere. I know for a while there, McDonald's was really trying to compete with Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts with their McCafe line. I'm not sure if they're really doing that much anymore. And get a look at this amazing old school neon McDonald's sign. I love old neon lights, and this is a really cool looking one. I believe at one point this space was being used as sort of like an express McDonald's coffee counter, but now it's just an open space. And this spot's still open, just closed for the night. It's Cheesy Street Grill, and I believe they specialize in grilled cheese sandwiches and mac and cheese. Sounds absolutely fantastic to me. As I mentioned earlier in the video, these rest stops may be changing in the future. These locations have been under ownership of McDonald's since 2001, with their contract expiring in 2025. The bid for the new contract was won by the Ireland-based company Applegreen. They released a plan to update 18 Service Plaza locations in Massachusetts. That included demolishing and rebuilding 8 locations along the Turnpike. However, the plan was met with backlash by the losing bidder, Massachusetts-based company Global Partners. They filed a suit claiming a conflict of interest between Applegreen and MassDOT, which resulted in Applegreen walking away from the contract. So the leases for these rest stops have been extended into 2027 while they plan to reopen bidding for the contract. So these will still be here for a little while longer. And let's check out this eerie, empty dining room. There's just something very spooky about being in a space that's made to accommodate a large amount of people and having it be totally empty. It's the same feeling I get when I go to a dead mall or an abandoned building or something like that. It's creepy, but it's also very peaceful and comforting. At least I think so. And we do have some live plants over in this corner here. And like I said, there's sort of a sports theme to this location, and I guess that's why the oars are nailed to the wall here, I guess for boat rowing. I'm not really sure. So that wraps up our first night exploring, checking out the ones on the eastbound side. And on our trip home, we stopped to check out 4 of them along the westbound side. First up is Framingham westbound. And just take a look at that old Daisani vending machine. I feel like you don't see too many of those anymore. And the first thing we see when we walk in is this Ronald McDonald statue sitting on the park bench. I remember seeing these outside of McDonald's restaurants all the time, but it's been a long time since I've seen one. And it's very cool that they have one here at this rest stop. And we have more awards that were given to the Wright family who owned and operated these restaurants. And you can see that they just had a lot of pride in what they were doing here with these McDonald's. So Don Wright has passed away, but I believe his wife and son are still operating McDonald's restaurants in Massachusetts. However, I'm unsure if they're still involved in running these rest stops, especially with potential new ownership in the near future. Look at this older picture of the rest stop during summertime. Yeah, and here we can see the Wright family. So I have my back turned for just 1 minute, And this clown goes and steals my girl. I can't believe that, Ronald. I thought you and me were friends. It's alright, we made up. And so we have another old school looking dining room. And over here is a shuttered Boston Market. Boston Market as a chain is almost completely defunct. I think there's only a small number of restaurants still operating in the United States today. In 2023, they were sued by their food distributor for $11 million in unpaid money. Oh, look at that sign for the meatloaf. Do you remember the meatloaf at Boston Market? I couldn't imagine a fast food chain selling meatloaf in 2026. That just seems so out of fashion. And Boston Market has faced a number of difficulties, including lawsuits over unpaid wages and health code violations. So I definitely don't see Boston Market making a comeback anytime soon. And over here we have yet another closed Fresh City, and I just really like the way that these look. It's definitely a relic of that late 90s, early 2000s restaurant aesthetic. And just look at those old faded signs back there. And here we have another colorful food stand. This is Original Pizza of Boston. And again, this is another one that likely closed when its lease expired earlier this year. Look at those burn marks where the menu board used to be. That doesn't look good. And here we have a rather plain looking McDonald's. Nothing too retro about this one. And over here in the dining room, we can see this big silver Ronald McDonald. So this is the Ronald Award, and it's given to franchise operators for excellent performance. But I just think it's really funny that the award itself is just a giant Ronald McDonald statue. Again, that's something you'll only see at a rest stop like this one. And here we can see what's left of the McDonald's wireless cafe. I'm guessing that was probably a public use computer at one point. And this dining room looks fairly similar to some of the other ones we've seen before. And over here they have a McDonald's themed conference room. I don't think I would be loving it if I had to go to a meeting in a place like this. And of course we have the claw machines, and over here we have one with Mighty Mouse on it. Mighty Mouse is a character you really don't see anymore today. And look at these old school characters here. That's really kinda neat. Do you think Mighty Mouse is due for a reboot? We have one of these 90s motivational posters with a picture of a zebra. I know it sounds a little silly, but I like looking at these claw machines and capsule machines. They just give me a feeling of nostalgia. Like, I know the stuff inside them is just cheap garbage, but I don't know, when I was a kid, I always liked them, and it's cool to see them here. And look at that weird chicken inside there. Our next stop is the Westborough westbound rest stop. And this one had quite a large picnic area out in front of it. And this one did not have a McDonald's at it, but it did have a Dunkin' Donuts. I'm actually surprised that more of these rest stops didn't have Dunkin' Donuts at them, considering how popular the chain is in New England. Look at these faded prints on the wall here. Looks like something you would see in a doctor's office waiting room. And we have these interesting little accent pieces on the wall. Here we have another empty Boston Market. So do you guys miss Boston Market, or is it something we've all just kind of forgotten about? I remember I enjoyed Boston Market's food back in the day, but I feel like as a concept, it's just not interesting enough to compete in today's world. Their food just seems so simple when everything is pushing to be more over the top and spicy and flavorful. Is there room for just simple home cooking at a restaurant chain nowadays? I don't know. And just look at that grime built up on the gate here. Over here in the dining area is an Auntie Anne's pretzel stand. It's closed, but they've left pretty much everything behind. Looks like they just took the cash register and called it quits. Now, I assume that this was another closing because of leases expiring in early 2025. They didn't take down the signs, the menu, anything. It's all just still sitting here. And just look at how happy she is to have an Auntie Anne's pretzel. I feel the same way when I have one. And we have another dining room, very similar to the other ones we've seen so far. It definitely has that old school vibe to it. Just reminds me a lot of an old school mall food court. And they even have some live plants, which is always a nice touch in my opinion. So it's uncertain what they plan on doing with these rest stops, but I would imagine that they would probably get rid of this interesting dining room and replace it with something bland and boring. It's a shame, but at least we can appreciate the vibe here and now. And so at this one, they've gotten rid of the payphone, but they still left the shell behind. It makes me happy to see that these sticker machines are still around. And over here we have the claw machines, pretty similar to the ones we've seen at the other rest stops. We have another one of these weird chickens. At this game, you can win a giant teddy bear with a Patriots helmet and jersey on it. And check out this game with all these dinosaurs spinning around, and you use the T-Rex skeleton to go down and try and scoop them up in its jaws. We decided to give this one a try. The old menu board for the Boston Market drive-thru is still standing here. They didn't even bother taking the graphics out of it. Just a little bit depressing to see what used to be a very popular chain just reduced to basically what you see here right now. Next stop is the Charlton westbound service plaza. This one has a McDonald's and not much else. Now this is really amazing. They have an old school, full-sized Ronald McDonald statue here. Now these were featured at McDonald's play places from the 80s into the 90s. And with Ronald McDonald being almost entirely phased out of all McDonald's advertising, it's a really cool thing to see a Ronald McDonald out in the wild like this. Just so cool that they have this just standing up here in the middle of the rest stop like this. And we have another one of these really nice neon McDonald's signs here. And we'll take a look at this old school refreshment stand. They definitely don't look like this anymore if you go into a modern McDonald's. It looks like they were using this as a coffee counter at one point, but I don't think they're doing that anymore. And over here, the Fresh City and Papagino's. And here we have another Auntie Anne's pretzel stand, and it almost looks like people could clock in and start working here. Literally everything is left behind. The ovens, even the point of sale is still here. It looks like they could just reopen this right now if they wanted to. Literally everything is still here. The employees even left their aprons behind. And we have a dining room here, very similar to the ones we've seen at the other rest stops we visited. And here they have a payphone, which actually looks like it's still in good working condition. It's really rare to see a payphone nowadays, and even more rare to see one that works. We gave it a try, but this one didn't have a dial tone. And for our final rest stop in this video is the Ludlow Westbound Service Plaza. This plaza was much smaller than the other ones we visited, and it did not contain a McDonald's. As we can see, the only food options here are the Papagino's and D'Angelo's. There was a Boston Market in here at one point, but it looks like they've just expanded into its space. And this rest stop had a basketball theme, as you can see with this basketball hoop here in the dining room. And I really liked the decor style inside this dining room. Just had a very 90s vibe to it. They even had some plastic plants here on the wall. Yeah, this one was very cool looking. It almost reminded me of like a 90s era Burger King. Just look at the pattern on the seats here. That just screams 90s. And they had this little display case with some basketball memorabilia in it, and some plastic plants on top. They even had basketballs printed on the tabletops here. Just very interesting and unique to see a rest stop with like a theme to it. And that's something you will never ever see again. Companies just seem committed to making everything as boring and bland as possible. Look at these old school garbage cans. I had someone make fun of me for geeking out about things like garbage cans, but you really do have to appreciate small details and things like that because you don't see them anymore. I think this space may have been where the old Boston Market was. And we have a Celtics jersey, continuing on with the basketball theming. And we have a very old school looking prize game here. So there really wasn't much to this one, definitely not as big as the other ones we've seen. But it definitely had an interesting vibe to it. And outside, we have another Boston Market drive-through menu board still standing up. And this one is definitely in rough shape. Just look at how faded that paint is on it. And so it looks like they've removed all the graphics from it, but I don't understand why they still have it standing up and why they haven't just gotten rid of it altogether. But I think that's why these rest stops are so interesting, because they are time capsules of things from the past that have been forgotten or faded away. So I hope you enjoyed this trip to 7 different rest stops along the Massachusetts Turnpike. I don't know how much longer these are still going to be standing for. The future plans for these are uncertain, but I would imagine that they will likely be redeveloped or demolished at some point. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and be sure to subscribe to see me go on more adventures in the future. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.